When Christopher Nolan released Tenet in 2020, it arrived during one of the most turbulent times in modern cinema history. With the pandemic shutting down theaters worldwide, the film's theatrical first-release strategy was as bold as its plot, and just as polarizing. Tenet was visually stunning, narratively complex, and technically groundbreaking, yet it was met with mixed reactions and underwhelming box office numbers compared to Nolan's past hits. But now, 5 years later, Tenet deserves a major reappraisal, because it might just be one of Nolan's most brilliant and emotionally resonant works. A film overshadowed by its timing. Part of Tenet's muted reception had nothing to do with its quality. Released during the height of COVID-19 restrictions, many moviegoers couldn't experience it the way Nolan intended, on the biggest screen possible, with immersive sound and undivided attention. The film's demanding structure and rapid-fire exposition didn't translate well to distracted home viewing, leading many to label it confusing or cold. But context is everything. Viewed today, outside of the pandemic's chaos, and with the benefit of hindsight, Tenet plays like a cinematic puzzle that only grows more rewarding with each rewatch. It's a high-concept sci-fi thriller that explores time not just as a mechanism, but as an emotional force. Don't try to understand it. Feel it. That simple line, spoken early in Tenet, encapsulates the film's philosophy. Nolan, often accused of being too cerebral, actually leans into emotion here more than critics gave him credit for. The story centers on the protagonist, a man without a name, navigating a temporal war he barely understands. But it's the supporting characters, particularly Neil, Robert Pattinson, and Kat, Elizabeth Debicki, who carry the emotional weight. Neil's eventual reveal as a time-traveling ally with a deeply personal history adds a sense of tragic loyalty and sacrifice that becomes devastating in retrospect. Kat's struggle for freedom and agency, caught between a cruel husband and a son she's desperate to protect, injects genuine human stakes into the sci-fi chaos. Nolan's meticulous structure slowly pulls the audience into these emotional undercurrents. The relationships deepen not through dialogue alone, but through the narrative architecture, a sort of emotional resonance built into the film's very design. A new kind of time travel story. What sets Tenet apart from other time travel stories isn't just its complexity, it's the elegance of its inversion mechanic. Objects and people move backward through time while others move forward, creating some of the most visually arresting action sequences in modern film. From reversed car chases to mirrored fight scenes, Tenet turns the traditional action formula on its head, making every moment feel unpredictable and alien, but still grounded in physical logic. The critics at the time argued that Tenet was too complicated for its own good. But today, as audiences have become more accustomed to unconventional timelines thanks to streaming shows and multiverse storytelling, the film's ambition feels far more digestible, even elegant. Nolan's most underrated achievement? In hindsight, Tenet may be one of Christopher Nolan's boldest swings, not just technically, but artistically. It doesn't handhold the viewer or over-explain. Instead, it dares the audience to trust, to feel, and to engage actively. Much like Inception and Interstellar, it rewards multiple viewings, but unlike those films, it was never given a fair shot to win over the cultural conversation. Thankfully, that's starting to change. With the recent IMAX re-releases and renewed interest in Nolan's filmography following Oppenheimer, Tenet is finally being rediscovered by fans and critics alike. Its rewatchability, visual mastery, and hidden emotional depth are gaining the appreciation they always deserved. The verdict? Tenet was never meant to be easy, but that doesn't make it any less powerful. In fact, it's precisely its layered construction, subtle character arcs, and daring structure that make it such a standout in Nolan's career. Now, 5 years later, audiences are beginning to see what was there all along. A sci-fi epic that's just as heartfelt as it is high concept. So, if you walked away from Tenet in 2020 feeling puzzled or unimpressed, now might be the perfect time to revisit it. Don't try to understand it. Feel it, and you may discover one of the most emotionally rewarding blockbusters of the last decade.